In today's weekly news video, we're going to touch on what looks to be some fake serial numbered cards graded by BGS. We'll then touch on an 86 Fleer update from the break by Goldin and whatnot the other day. We'll then give an update on the card theft that I touched on in this video, and then we'll talk to a few other interesting things, including a pretty dodgy trimming service. So let's get straight into it. Now, the first thing I want to touch on is this 86 Fleer update. Now, if you would have seen my video the other day, I did a live or instant reaction, I should say, to basically the box break, and there was a few interesting observations I made. One of those was the fact that the gum, or none of the gum, appeared to have been broken, and not really any pieces of the gum looked like they were sticking to the cards, which was very strange to me because all the 86 Fleer breaks that I've seen have had at least some packs of gum, basically, or some gum sticks being stuck to the cards. Now, a few people in the comments confirmed or mentioned to me, Daniel, like, yes, that might be a bit questionable, but keep in mind, this also could be the fact that this box was stored in a low humidity environment. If it was the case, it explains why apparently all the gum didn't stick to the cards, because when it's low humidity, the gum doesn't stick or break. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention because I'm all about sharing all the facts with you all. So if I ever do misspeak in a video, please reach out and I'll look to clarify that where I can. Now, the next thing I want to touch on is this card theft update that I spoke about from a couple of weeks ago out at the National, where you had a dealer who dealt with this particular customer a couple of times. This customer came to his table, said he was interested in some cards. They were talking for quite some time. He said, you know what, I've got some cash on me. It was about $80,000 worth. You mind holding the cash? I'll let my son look at these cards because I want to see what he thinks, right? So they handed the cards to his son, and then they sat at the table and talked for a few hours, and then the next minute, you know, the seller, or the buyer I should say, ran away with the cards in hand. The seller looked at the money and there was only about $1,000 in the bag. Now, he reported this to the police, and as you know, Sports Collectors Digest raised with us when the stuff first occurred, they've now followed up and the man has been charged by police. He hasn't been arrested, he has been charged. Very curious to see what comes of this. I found the situation very, very strange. Like I said in that original video, you know, the fact that this seller and dealer knew each other quite well, I'm not sure what the seller, or sorry, the buyer was thinking by running away from someone that you know, that knows your name. Like, that's just utterly ridiculous in my opinion. Like, yes, theft in general is a stupid thing to do, but even more so when you know the person, I just don't get it. So maybe there was some, you know, other things happening in the background that, you know, forced this individual's hand. Obviously, people that steal are often very, very desperate. So if that is the case, hopefully they can recover the cards and this guy gets, you know, the help he needs from a financial perspective or whatever he's struggling with in life to push him to the point to steal these cards. But, you know, it's good to see that he has been caught because this kind of stuff is unacceptable. Now, the next thing I want to touch on is something very, very interesting that came up, you know, in the last few hours. And this has been raised by the Real 27 guy on Instagram. I'll put a link down to his Instagram down below. This is in relation to an uncut sheet of 1997-98 Essentials Credentials Futures. Now, I'll put them up on the screen now so you can see what these sheets look like. And this individual, he works for PWCC and has bought some of these sheets in the past. Now, 2 of these sheets were recently sold on Goldin, one for $26,000 if I recall, one for $10,000. Now, what this guy's identified by looking at the uncut sheet that sold for $10,000, because apparently what he does explain, in his video that goes for 27 minutes, and I'll put a link down below, what he does explain is that he's got alerts on eBay to track these, right? Because they're quite expensive inserts from the 90s, and he obviously likes them. So he saw a bunch come up for sale at the same time, and having a look at them, he said they looked a bit off. They're all graded by BGS. He said the numbering looked a bit funny. So when he looked back at the uncut sheet, for whatever reason, I can't recall why he said it triggered him to do this, he found that it looks like the person has taken this uncut sheet, cut the cards, put fake serial numbers on them, and then have sent them to Beckett for grading, which is pretty crazy in my opinion. Again, speaks to some of these issues with these graders. Like, if you look at these images on screen now where other individuals have done comparisons to the serial numbers, you can very, very clearly see that they're fake. It's just crazy. It's just so crazy. And apparently a few others have seen, you know, maybe the cards a little bit closer and they can see that the edges are starting to curl as well, which implies that it's come from, you know, an uncut sheet, because uncut sheets are often rolled up. So this is like absolutely mental, and this is why you always need to be on your toes. Like, people are out there now, like I've said many times in recent videos, they're going to new lengths to try and take advantage of you as collectors. So what they're now doing is buying uncut sheets, cutting them, and then sending them in for grading. Like, it's absolutely shocking that Beckett missed this, because like I said when the SGC issue came up with the Top Sun Charizard card, you know, the fact that you have individuals, okay, that can look at a photo and see that a card is fake, or see that a card, you know, has come from an uncut sheet, or see that a serial number is fake, okay, and they can see this through the photos. How in the heck can these graders not see them in person? It's just shocking, and it's going to keep happening. So please check out the Real 27 guy's video. It's on Instagram. It's the link down below. It's really, really good. He speaks for 27 minutes, and he actually goes through how he figured out that the individual cards graded by Beckett match the ones that were in that uncut sheet, because there's a few tells in there. And like, just one of those maybe would have been coincidence, but the fact that he's seen it for 5 cards, I think within the set of the 5 that are listed on eBay, you know, it's pretty damning. And unacceptable. Now, the next thing I want to touch on that I'm going to do a video on at a later date is this trimming service. Now, this individual reached out to me because I saw them comment on a Rattle Pokemon Instagram post, and I was like, I'm very curious to see what you'll understand what you're talking about. Reach out to me. And they basically explain that there's a few companies in Italy. They've gone bankrupt in recent years, but apparently they're still operating under a different name where they're actively advertising that they're going to trim your cards for you, clean your cards so you can get a better grade. And as part of the advertising, there's actually a photo of a guy with a card on the table trimming the edges, which is, really shocking that they can be so brazen with this mindset. And as I've touched on before, a lot of people are okay with cleaning services when it comes to cards because you want to try and hit a good grade. Like there's this Striving for Tens guy on Instagram that does it quite a lot. I like the fact that he does it because the people that send the cards to him are on video, right? And if it's serial number, you know what card it is. So it's pretty transparent. It's when the stuff is happening in the background that scares me, because who knows what the chemicals that they're using on these surface cleaning things will do to the card in 10 years time, right? Now they've got people actively advertising their trimming, and people are okay with that, and using the service is just mind-boggling to me. Like I've told many times, I come from the comic book background as well. Like I'm a big comic book collector. You can see some random ones there on my shelf. Restoration is a big no-no in comic collecting, including even comic pressing. There's so many questionable things that I'm surprised it doesn't transfer to cards. I'm surprised people are okay with having their cards cleaned. Personally, I'd pay for that, but only for a PC card. I'd never do it to sell to someone, right? So the fact that people are actively using these services scares me quite a lot. The fact that these companies, like these individuals in the US, are advertising trimming services is a joke. It needs to stop. So let me know your thoughts on that one. It's a very touchy topic. Some people are okay with it. I do not understand how you can be okay with that. So as always, please share your thoughts down in the comments below on any of these. If you have anything interesting that you think I should be aware of, or what your thoughts are on them in general. As you guys know, I love chatting with you all in the comments, so can't wait to do that. If there's anything that's come up within the hobby that you think I should be aware of, please reach out on Instagram. I'm really keen to do a bit of a deep dive. There's some things regarding a certain influencer and shill bidding accusations. Very popular female influencer that I might be doing a deep dive of sometime next week. I just need to do a bit more research before I come down really hard on that. So please keep an eye out for that. And if you don't see anything, reach out to me on Instagram and I'll explain basically why I didn't end up doing the video. But, more than likely we'll go ahead. I will likely do a video on this trimming scandal as well. So this stuff scares me, man. Like the fact that this kind of stuff is just becoming more and more frequent within the hobby. I don't like the fact that people are becoming so brazen with their attempts to try and defraud other individuals. So, keep an eye out for that trimming video because that's super sketchy. Like I said, keep an eye out for this other video regarding this female influencer and the shill bidding accusations. And I might end up doing another follow-up on this, theft from the National once we do find out what happens to the individual that has been charged. So, like I said, please give me a like and a follow if you did enjoy the video. Just one other point on that, uncut sheet that looks like they've been graded by BGS. I will update you all once we get a bit more information on that as well, because that's not a good look for BGS. It's very, very dodgy. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.